Are there any current uses of AI that you see as a future threat?
Yes, like everything, of course.
Do you trust the output of ChatGPT? How can people tell the difference between a coin and a real coin? Can I read you what ChatGPT said about you and see if it's accurate?
Is that a premium version?
AI will eventually replace all human jobs. Agree or disagree?
When we reach the final phase.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of What's Happening in Thailand. Today, I'm joined by a very special guest, the CEO and founder of Bitkub and blockchain visionary, Topp Jirayut Srupsrisopa. Mr. Topp, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
You started small in the back of your parents' small business, and no one took you seriously for a long time. I want to know, do your mom and dad take you seriously now?
Oh, they're very proud now. They've been sending my interview links to everyone they know.
Are they using Bitkub?
Yes. Yeah. And not just my family, but all my cousins are customers of Bitkub, and they have been very happy on their returns over the past 10 years. I think it's a global trend everywhere. Back in 2014, people thought Bitcoin was just like Ponzi scheme. And then in 15, 16, people thought Bitcoin is for money laundering. And then people started to talk about blockchain as potential use cases in 2017 onwards. I think in those early years, those were the difficult years because my parents would not believe me for sure. A recently graduated son, right? They would just listen to the bankers, Bank of Thailand, the regulators, the government. So only in the last 5 years, I would say, that they are becoming, they're accepting what I'm doing.
Do you feel better now that you have the support of your family finally?
Yes. So now I have people to talk to, right? Because running a business is very hard. Like you feel very lonely. And it's nice to have someone to talk to. And I can't really talk to someone further away from me. I would love to, have people close to me who I care about support what I do. So it's much better now. And I also feel proud that they are proud of me, of what I do. Yeah.
You're only 34 years old and you have gone through serious cycles of doubt throughout your adult life. People have been doubting you from the start. And you once attributed your success to, quote, remaining stubborn in your vision. As a young leader, what is your best advice for people who are struggling to pursue their passion?
I've met many entrepreneurs in various fields, and they all share the most important trait as an entrepreneur, which is perseverance. I mean, if you don't believe in yourself, who's going to believe in you, right? I think the foundation has to be strong. Before you chase this success or dopamine, you have to really have a strong, at least serotonin and oxytocin layers. That means you have to really believe in yourself, that you're capable, that you can achieve success. You don't look down on yourself, and eventually you have to have a strong conviction that there will be light at the end of the tunnel, even in your darkest days. When things are not going terrible, things can only get better when you hit the bottom of the bottom, right? Things can only get better from there. So my advice is really to find this important truth that nobody really see. Because if many people see the same thing, then you're going to be sharing the average.
But do you think that by finding the important truth that no one can see, that those people will also have to deal with all of the doubt and the denial of what their passion, like you did?
Yes, and that's the similar pattern that we see in many of the great entrepreneurs. Mostly the major players would look down on them, would despise them, would make fun of them, and then would copy them, and then it's too late in various fields. So I think it's a good indicator that you're doing something important. If no one is mocking you, no one is even sparing their precious time to follow what you're doing or this is you, or make fun of you, then you're not really doing something important. Right? You're not making progress in life. But if you're really disrupting the field, making progresses, then you're gonna attract attention. You're gonna attract haters. Right? People are gonna try to pull you down. That's a good indicator that you're on the right track. Right?
Okay, so regardless of industry, nowadays being independent and having a personal brand has become common for leaders of all types. What are the benefits of building a personal brand?
For my industry in particular first, we're in the money business. We don't have 1,000 years to build trust with customers. If you look at banks, they all build like Roman towers to have this perception that this bank is going to last 1,000 years. Right? Thai banks have at least 100 years ahead of us, right, of building trust and reputation, which takes time. And we're in the money business. Trust is the most important. It's the fundamental of everything. And you need to really show transparency and governance and who's behind running this company, who are the backers, who are the founders. You have to really share your story so that people resonate with you. And we're living in this world now where people don't really trust in institutions. Right? People don't really trust in Tesla. They trust in Elon Musk. Right? People don't trust in the US. They trust in Trump. They're moving towards. Everyone is moving towards personal branding side as the future of marketing, and especially with the arrival of AI, the traditional town hall communication method is gonna disappear. Eventually, we can scale communication in a one-to-one with personalized AI. We can upload ourselves, our identity, our information, and it could be in the future me talking to 1 million people in a one-to-one manner going forward. I don't think the traditional town hall method of communication is going to be as impactful going forward. So it's important to build things that scale, right? And one of the things that scale is personal branding.
So do you feel that for new business leaders or people who, the next generation who are looking at business opportunities, do you feel that personal brand should be considered a requirement?
Yes. Attention is everything, right? Now we're living in a world full of different distractions, right? World of distraction, attention span is short. To be able to stand out, you have to be able to get that attention from customers and also get that trust from customers. So personal branding is very important.
The Thai education system has been slow to adopt tech education programs. What resources do you recommend for people who are looking to enter the industry but perhaps cannot afford a higher education?
With a phone that is connected to the internet right now, we can acquire knowledge via different open education platform like Coursera, like Khan Academy. They're actually providing better resources for learning than traditional education, right? Because there's no marginal cost of production for every additional student that they can onboard. Right? People can onboard at a much lower cost. Even YouTube, there are quite a few useful videos on YouTube that you can improve yourself. So I think future of education would be online in the future, especially with AI coming. We could have a personalized AI tutor going forward as well.
But right now there's such a marketplace for online education. Even for me, I'm a self-taught learner in many things, and I even struggle sometimes to know, like, is it Udemy, is it Coursera? But ultimately it seems that all of that is becoming more expensive as well. So I'm wondering, and you had mentioned, you said open education. Does that mean free?
From the government's perspective, I think they should invest in this public infrastructure. It should be a public good for people. Government should invest in an open education platform and scale this platform to everyone to reskill, upskill themselves within the country. I think a few things should be free in Thailand. Right? Internet connectivity should be free. It should be a public good. digital identity should be free so that students can identify themselves online, right? And an open education platform. Everyone should get access to quality education for free and in a scalable manner. Right? And traditional bricks and mortar buildings, wearing uniforms, paying tuition fee per additional chairs. It's not a scalable education system. So I think this should be what the government should be providing for the people.
Without a framework, you have been in a bit of a gridlock with the central bank and other regulators for years. You've gone through cycles of legal battles that have resulted in Thailand's current developing framework for regulation. Why do you think that they worked with you instead of arresting you?
To be fair, the debanking issue is not just happening in Thailand, but it's happening globally as well. Right now in the US, during the Biden's administration, there were quite a few crypto entrepreneurs that has been debanked. All the crypto companies cannot open bank accounts in the US. Even on the personal side, crypto entrepreneurs cannot open bank accounts themselves, and they can't even have they couldn't have a regulatory clarity. So it is much worse in the West. But it doesn't mean that we have been having things very easy on our end. We were the pioneer, the first to launch a digital asset platform in this country. We had to go and to educate the regulators on how to regulate this space, how to find the right balance between innovations, but as well as customers protection, compliance, to bridge the two worlds together.
Sorry to interrupt you, but to pause at that part, what I'm curious about is the inflection point from the regulators, because a lot of people, founders, the regulators just shut them down, or they just arrest them, or these types of things. Why do you think that the Thai regulators worked with you instead of just trying to maintain the old banking system?
I mean, we almost died, like literally almost died, like several times. I got an investigation letter from money laundering, from anti-money laundering officers. The Bank of Thailand, sent me, called me in for an investigation session as well on running a business without a license. Back then, right, when there were no regulations in place. What is Bitcoin? Right? Why are you running a money business? Even the RD, Revenue Department, they had issues on how to pay taxes with Bitcoin transaction. And that is partly why I am not just an entrepreneur. I've been a speaker as well. I've been on almost, I think, more than 1,000 stages, like literally more than 1,000 stages, trying to educate everyone and work closely with all the different stakeholders to make sure that they understand the important truth, the fact. Not just the headline. Right? You have to really understand the actual technology, the logic behind this, blockchain. So it takes time to make sure that education catches up.
A lot of businesses in Thailand that are trying to scale up, whether they be technology businesses or otherwise, they face different types of corruption. And this is definitely something that you must have had to encounter. But my question for you is not about your experience with corruption specifically. To be safe, my question is, how have you navigated through a system that is known to be corrupt to grow a business in Thailand?
Not very well, to be honest, because we're a new generation of leaders, right? Of entrepreneurs. We don't really know how to navigate the old ways of doing things, and especially like as an Oxford grad, right? You don't want to do those stuff, right? Those traditional way of corruptions. We were very disappointed actually in what we have been treated from the broken rules of law in this region. Not just Thailand, in this region of the world. The rules of law is not great. So we have been a victim, I'd say a victim of this broken rules of law. And we have been trying not to follow a traditional to keep on that tradition of managing stakeholders behind the scene, etc., etc. We are trying to do the right thing. And
Do you feel that you've scaled up enough for you to be able to worry less about corruption and like legal threats in the future? From the Thai perspective, I mean, like from the perspective of the central bank and the regulators, like, are you okay now?
not really. The treatment is not the same, right? It's like we are bringing a knife to a gunfight, even up to today. But luckily, we have customers, a lot of customers who are protecting us. Right? Without the customers, we would not be here today.
The customers is one thing, but you've also gone through periods of losing your staff, your talent. Is that still something that you're facing?
Not anymore on the staff because we have clarity on what we could do, right? Regulatory clarity. But we're becoming like an infrastructure, like an important infrastructure for Thailand. With 5 million customers, $3 billion of customers deposits. I think we have a big group of customers protecting us. But apart from that, it's not the same treatment. Right? It's like bringing a knife to a gunfight still, which we are very disappointed about in this region.
So in Thailand specifically, the central bank is not actually legally independent, which makes it susceptible to a lot of things like political influence, corruption, and then also a lack of public trust. How do you envision the Bank of Thailand's future role?
Even though we have histories of corruption, we have histories of broken rules of law. Bank of Thailand is the organization that is the most independent, I would say, in this country. After 97, people have become very conservative here, right? And Bank of Thailand has to be fully independent, otherwise the economy would be gone like quickly, like in a blink of an eye, with influence of politicians. I think the two organizations has to be fully independent, Bank of Thailand and the SEC. And for us, I would say the SEC is doing better now than the previous generation on this aspect. But I really hope that these two organization has to be fully independent. Otherwise, it would impact the whole economy.
Do you think that you winning the contest has anything to do with the SEC being more cooperative with fintech companies?
We were the first to win the first ever fintech challenge of the SEC. But to share the fact with you, we went in and I said, we want to turn this into a real business now. And the SEC back then said, you can't compete with the Thai Stock Exchange. Right? It has to be monopoly. Right? There's based on our own law, right? Nobody can compete. So they kind of lose face as well as, at the same time creating this innovation challenge and the winner cannot turn into innovation into a real business. But we got lucky because of the crypto boom, right? Crypto boom in 2018. That's when the finance minister ordered the SEC to have a regulation around this. So they kind of turned this sandbox into a proper license. So it's not because of us winning the fintech competition. It's more like an external force creating an opportunity for us.
So Thailand went cashless pretty fast, but crypto mass adoption hasn't really made it there yet, especially for consumer use like in retail. Why do you think that is?
It's forbidden. It's banned by the Bank of Thailand. We partnered with the mall group, the biggest shopping mall chain here, to allow crypto as payment. The next morning, the Bank of Thailand announced that there's no crypto payment in this country. It's banned.
So you think that if they hadn't banned it, you think it would be easy for it to adopt similar to like cashless? Like, I mean, everyone is scanning the QR codes now to pay.
Yeah. And it's going to bring new kinds of money into Thailand, right? Crypto is now $3-4 trillion market cap, right? 6 times Thailand's GDP. And if we can cash out easily here without capital gain tax, if we can do crypto as payments here, all of the digital nomads sitting in Phuket, Chiang Mai, they are receiving their payments in crypto anyways because they're charging nano contracts, right? 500 baht per task, right? And you can't wire 500 baht overseas. to digital nomads because it's not economical to receive fiat. And they can't really do anything with crypto because they can't use them to pay for anything in Thailand. So the government has to be in deficit now to try to stimulate the economy with their own cash instead of allowing innovations to help stimulate the economy and become the digital asset hub in this region. Right now, crypto adoption is 20%, right? 1 out of 5 people here, which is quite high.
But what does adoption mean in that sense?
So at least they have crypto wallets and they trade cryptocurrency, or at least a long-term investor of Bitcoin. But if the government allows crypto as payment, the adoption is going to be much higher. And Thailand would be benefiting from new money injecting into the economy to help boost the spending, fiscal, monetary expansion without having to get into a deficit.
What is standing in between you and getting the ban on retail use of crypto lifted?
Policies, right? Governments, policies, regulations. Right now, regulation front-run technology, right? And regulation should not front-run technology. It should align with where the world is heading. PayPal is now, accepting crypto as payments. Square, Block, Object, Dorsey, Visa, MasterCard.
So how long do you think it will be until Thailand finally accepts it? I mean, we know it's coming, but when do you have an idea of?
Within less than 5 years, but we're going to miss the train. We're going to be one of the last countries again to adopt technology. It's going to be like the likes of PayPal, all these cash app that has already launched crypto as payments. And Thai people are going to be using them anyways, regardless of the ban. Just like Airbnb is banned here, Grab was banned here, and eventually foreign players came in and monopolized the space. And that's when in Thailand, it's too late for the local players to create something out of the opportunity. Even on the biggest and most important part about keeping Bitcoin as one of the national reserve, I think we're going to be one of the last countries again on earth, and we're going to lose so much money on that. Right now, Bhutan has almost 20,000 Bitcoin. Right? US has 210,000 Bitcoins. China has 190,000 Bitcoins. UK has 80,000 Bitcoins. 20% of Bhutan's GDP is in Bitcoin. El Salvador is buying 1 Bitcoin per day. If Thailand were to get Bitcoin today, even if we take action right away today, we are getting Bitcoin 6 times more expensive than Bhutan, 600% more expensive than Bhutan, 6 times more money, right? More deficit. And if we were a bit slower, I think, let's say 6 years from now, when MicroStrategy, BlackRock is acquiring 300,000 Bitcoin each, all of the funds front run Thailand again, Bitcoin could reach 1 million USD per coin. Right? We're gonna enter into a 10x more deficit when we take 6 years too late. Right? It's gonna cost us a lot more money.
What are some of the most short-term or immediate steps that you think the government could take with technology to improve Thailand's economy?
Right now, we are in the biggest trouble in terms of debt to GDP ratio. The highest.
I think it's 90%.
Yeah, crazy, highest ever in history. And also the economy is not doing well, right? People at the bottom of the pyramid are suffering. There are not enough liquidity. And the government is trying to do this fiscal spending by getting into more deficit, which is going to affect the confidence of the Thai economy. It's going to create a ripple impact. Right? There are 3 immediate things that Thailand could do, which is a free lunch. Right? They can do right away. Right? First is to remove capital gain tax on crypto. Right now, people are cashing out in Dubai, right? A desert, 50 degrees. Right? We have a nice mountains, nice beach. Everyone wants to be here, but they cannot cash out here because of the capital gain tax, which is not practical. Nobody's paying it anyway, right? They would cash out in Dubai and wire that to Thailand. It's an inefficient policy, not effective policy. If the government can remove capital gain tax on crypto, $3 trillion would be cashing out here and not at the desert, right? And that money could be stimulating the economy without the government getting into more debt and helping the lower part of the economy right away. And apart from removing capital gain tax, right, the government has to allow crypto as payments because they can cash out here, they can stimulate the economy via crypto as payments. Right? 6 times Thailand's GDP, $3 trillion. And this industry is going to grow up to $100 trillion in the next 10 years. It's going to be the fastest growing ever, right? Apart from the internet, right, and AI. And why are we not benefiting? Why are we not riding this wave? Why are we not benefiting from this wave of growth as a country? Right? So the government should remove crypto as payments. And third, really, eventually Bitcoin is going to become one of the national reserve. We should take action very quickly. Because even if we remove capital gain tax, even if we allow crypto as payment, but if we did not take action on getting Bitcoin as national reserve, eventually we're going to lose 10x more money, 16x more money to get that same amount of Bitcoin as Bhutan, right? To peg CBDCs in the future, central bank digital currencies or Thai baht stablecoin in the future. It's going to cost us 16x more expensive. We're going to eventually lose more money anyways.
Are decision makers in the government open to listening to you now on this?
I don't think so. I think I'm the most hated guy in finance in Thailand. Right? Nobody likes me in finance here. Because maybe I'm the disruptor. But the world is heading towards this direction.
Based on my experience with politicians, I think most of them would say that every step towards fixing the problem is unaffordable. But you're saying that these 3 immediate steps are free lunch, meaning they would cost nothing. They would only gain.
You know, what do we stand to lose here? Dubai is winning. They have just a desert to offer, right? 50 degrees. And people still live there.
I mean, I would suggest that what the people at the top stand to lose is their status. But you're saying that these 3 steps don't cost anything.
For the Thai economy, but maybe not for the traditional financial players. Right?
Do you trust the output of ChatGPT?
It's getting smarter, especially the premium version. Eventually, it's going to be reliable, just like Wikipedia. Even before, we cannot really trust until we have this peer-to-peer review up to the certain point that there's a check and balance. There's enough data point. Eventually, people can trust Wikipedia. Mm-hmm. Remember back in the days when we could not use Wikipedia as a reference for our thesis because it's not reliable. Mm-hmm. But now people are using Wikipedia for everything. So it's the same with ChatGPT.
So can I read you what ChatGPT said about you and see if it's accurate?
Is that a premium version?
Yes.
Okay.
I asked it a couple of different ways, but because I'm a journalist, I wanted it to write a news. Please write a short summary of the challenges Topp is facing for a news article seen by the global audience. It says Topp, the founder and CEO of Bitkub, faces significant challenges as he continues to lead Thailand's foremost digital asset platform. Is that true?
No.
One major issue is navigating the complexities of cryptocurrency regulations across different jurisdictions, especially as Bitkub plans its IPO. Yeah. Is that true? Yeah. It says that you're currently planning to expand your operations internationally, including ventures in Cambodia and Laos.
Wow, yes.
That's true?
Yeah.
Okay, last thing. Despite Bitkub's success, Topp must also contend with skepticism from traditional financial institutions and regulators who remain cautious about the broader acceptance of digital assets in Thailand.
Yeah, that's what we've been discussing about.
It's 100% true?
Yeah, amazing.
Okay, and then so lastly on that, we have 2 different types of journalism, right? So there's people who write and there's people who do photos. I actually happen to do both. And I had some AI images of you generated. Because AI and image generation is one specific set of ethics on its own. People have a lot of concerns. So I will ask you about your concerns, but first I want to see, it says, generate an editorial news image of Topp Jirayut to accompany an article describing who he is and what he's been up to lately. Do you agree with this image?
That does not look like me.
Okay, so to go on, I won't show you them all, but what I would say is that I felt by doing these things that I agreed that ChatGPT was pretty good, but that AI image generation is nowhere near its potential. What do you think? In general, have you seen AI images that are compelling to you?
Not yet. Some are like 10 with 10 fingers.
Yeah, why do you think that is?
I guess it takes time. It takes time for the technology to perfect itself. Needs a lot of data point, needs a lot of test and trial. We haven't reached that equilibrium yet.
So in terms of journalism and information, freedom of information, and how that is applied with AI, where can people get accurate information online nowadays with the least influence from a big tech company's algorithm?
That is tough because we're moving towards a fake everything society with AI. Everyone can be Donald Trump with his voice, and everyone can be Putin, in his voice. There's this AI filter, AI's voice copying machine. So it's tough. That's why we need blockchain technology to verify and trace the truth, the ability to track and trace and verify without having to trust a third party.
So I understand that you offered a solution that involves transparency, but if the viewer wants to know where they could go today for unbiased information, what would you say is the current place that they could do that? Or is it just their own process?
That is a tough question because there are more and more fake news, right? And with the technology ready to be used quickly, we're going to be contaminated with even more.
But we just saw that ChatGPT wrote a real good article about you.
Right. I mean, technology it's like a neutral ground, right? It's not white or black. It can be put to good use, but at the same time, people could abuse this for bad things. Just like a kitchen knife, right? You can do good things with a kitchen knife, or you can also do bad things with a kitchen knife. Technology is neutral.
Maybe I try the question this way. Instead of advising other people how to get information, how do you, if you want to learn about something new that's happening in the world, where do you go?
ChatGPT, Google, and I read multiple sources to verify facts.
Okay. How do you feel about post-acquisition Twitter? You said, for example, earlier you said the word town square, which is one of the words that is commonly used to describe the vision for the future of Twitter. But the current version of Twitter is under a lot of scrutiny for a variety of different reasons. But being a leader in technology space, I'm curious how you feel about the current direction of it.
To be honest, I don't really know much about the future direction of Twitter after the acquisition, but I knew that Elon really saved like Twitter from bankruptcy. They had 4-5 months of runway left before the acquisition. This usage is back up. There are a lot more activities on Twitter now, but I don't agree on social media being a town hall method of communication. Eventually, when we enter Web3, everything will be decentralized, including social media. And we're going to have one-to-one communication, personalized one-to-one communication with AI technology. It's not going to be like one-to-many town hall setup, town square setup anymore. I think we are moving towards a more personalized communication.
Based on the short conversation that we just had, and I don't expect you to be an expertise on journalism, but I'm curious on your take on whether or not the use of AI is ethical in journalism.
I would come back to the previous principle that every technology is neutral in itself. You can use them to do good things. You can also use them to do bad things. It depends on the person that uses the technology and the regulation around it. How do we create red stop on guardrails?
Who should be regulating that though? Like, should it be on a level higher than just the country, or should it be per country?
We need to work on the standardization of regulations. Otherwise, there'll be a regulatory arbitrage happening. So that's the difficult part. How do every countries come together and agree on something and set a standard on that? And this standard cannot just be set by a public sector, but we have to work with the private sector, PPP, public and private partnership, to launch something that is sensible for everyone. And that is the challenge.
AI will eventually replace all human jobs. Agree or disagree?
When we reach the final phase, but not in the short term. Right? In the short term, AI can replace tasks, but not jobs. Because as human, we're not contributing just technical tasks or skills, but we are contributing human. Like as a human, we have values. We contribute our own set of values too. We have red stop on everything, right? What we should do, what is right, what is wrong. But AI has not reached that ethical point yet. Right? They can contribute on the technical task, but they don't have this hat, a separate hat, role to play hat. They only have this career hat. They know what to perform each task in a more efficient, effective manner compared to human. But we also have two hats to wear. Right? We have a role to play hat. Right? We have a ethical scope of what we could do, what we should not do. So we contribute not just technical ability, but we contribute the right or wrong. We contribute human, right? As a human.
The humanity.
And humanity towards the job that we do as well.
But you said in the beginning of that answer, you said in the final phase, which is a little bit scary sounding. What do you mean by the final phase? In the final phase, does AI have humanity?
That's the final phase. That's when we design the second hat. So co-create the second hat. When countries come together and say, this is a guardrail, this is a set of ethical standards or guidelines that are acceptable across different countries. Right? But that's going to be difficult because who's going to be designing this? Is it a top-down approach or is it a bottom-up approach? Because this technology is going to be everywhere, right? Impacting everyone's lives. Who has the say on this is the right rate stop for me?
Right, and you've also said that you feel that the use of the technology, whether it be for good or bad, depends on the people that are using the technology. I would agree. So are there any current uses of AI that you see as a future threat?
Yes, fake everything, of course. Right? Everyone can fake to be someone else instantly with the same voice, same movements, same motion. And apart from that, the mind reading ability. Have you seen the two experiments?
I have not had it read my mind, no.
So they had this experiment where they put a guy into the MRI machine, right? And there's a photo under the tunnel for him to see. And they have the AI read his prefrontal cortex and limbic brain. And the AI could write in a paragraph, right, without seeing the photo, what he's looking at. A giraffe eating leaves on a tree. This is mind reading ability. So PDPA is nothing compared to what is going to happen. Right? And in the future, there will be a regulation on a permission to read my mind. Right? Please ask me first before you read my mind. This is like scary stuff. And I bet regulation is going to be too slow again.
Do you think that people should be worried about contributing to AI learning systems? Like, for example, photojournalists or people who are writers, or even people who, a lot of times nowadays, when you upload your photo to a certain system, it'll say, we have to send it to our server first. We don't store it, we send it back. Do you think that this idea that AI or people behind AI are collecting everything all the time is real?
Yeah.
It is?
Otherwise, the AI cannot work effectively without enough data, right? And this is a game theory also because when we want to go against it, then there'll be people who want to have power over us pursuing it. And if we stop pursuing it, then we're going to be serving people who pursue AI, right? So for example, like if say Microsoft said, oh, we should stop developing AI now because it's getting into a dangerous zone. Google will not stop, for example. Then eventually Microsoft would be under Google, right? So it's like nuclear power. Like if North Korea said, if the US said nuclear power is dangerous, and if North Korea is not stopping developing nuclear power, then US is going to be under the North Korea. So it's a game theory, right? So eventually nobody stops.
So I know that when we talk about technology, especially to you, I feel that based on my research, you live like a whole life every 6 months. It seems because things change so fast. And so instead of asking you the 5-year question, I want to know more reasonably, where do you see AI in 1 year?
It's going to automate 90% of the corporate jobs. First via third-party applications. So for Bitkub, we're using 200 different applications to help us work like smarter, like Slack, Trello, Monday, Microsoft Teams. All of these apps would have AI features within a year, and a company could pay a premium feature, a premium function to get access to the AI premium feature to help us automate 90% of the corporate jobs within a year.
So does that mean that you are replacing humans with AI yourself?
Replacing tasks, not human. So we will become more productive.
But are you more productive when you have 20 apps instead of one?
For different use cases, different tasks, right? For automation.
For me, it feels personally that like I use all those tools you just named. And at some point I realized like, oh my God, we are paying subscription fees to like 20 different apps. And we have to like open one file here and one chat there, and everyone's using, and it's starting to blur the lines between personal and professional communication. So I just wonder, do you think, I agree with you that, well, in where we're going, but do you think that at some point we're going to have to consolidate our options?
This is what the AI will do. It will automate 90% of the corporate jobs. It would have this interoperability between apps, right? To automate 90% of all these copy and paste, click this and download this, upload this stuff that we've been doing. If things would be running behind the background like soon, right? Behind the scene.
Something that you've talked about a lot, you attended the Davos World Economic Forum, which is, in terms of journalism, one of the most widespread conspiracy theories in the world. Since you went, I'd like to dispel 2 of those conspiracy theories. One, the Great Reset. This group of people believes that the World Economic Forum is orchestrating a global agenda to reshape the economy, political systems, and society to dismantle capitalism and redistribute wealth by the use of global crisis to push radical changes. Is that true?
I mean, I have no idea. We have been a member for 3 years, and what I can say on our end is that we're benefiting from understanding world's trend, worldviews of where the world is heading, so that we can create our own corporate strategy that is in line with where the world is heading. It's very important to understand as a business person a macro perspective before we create our micro action, right? Plans, internal policies.
So speaking of those plans, a lot of people would say that it's unfair to have, this is the other conspiracy theory, that there's a small group of people, politicians, business leaders, et cetera, that participate in the World Economic Forum that make decisions that control the world economy. Is that true?
That's how, to be honest, that's the current capitalism system, right? That's how the capitalism system works. the minority group of people gets to decide on the policies and on where the world is heading. They're very powerful people go there each year, and at least they have alignment, right, on what are the major issues, global issues that we need to fix urgently.
Do you feel that the people you've worked with in the World Economic Forum are actually representing the interests of humanity, the majority of people?
Yeah, because they get a group of leaders together and discuss like urgent global issues. And if there's no global alignment or a platform for leaders to talk to coordinate, to collaborate, then these are difficult problems to solve, right? And nobody can solve them alone. Like global, sustainability issue, global warming, right? Geopolitics, a change of geopolitics. These are like not one single country can solve this major global issue, and we need a neutral ground platform for all the leaders to come in and set the right tone, set the standards, set the agreed on the direction, so that these urgent issues can be solved.
According to factcalculator.com, your celebrity net worth is very wealthy. Thailand has a severe wealth inequality gap. How are you or Bitkub giving back?
We're not that. I'm not that wealthy, to be honest. I'm just an entrepreneur, hustling every day, trying to grow Bitkub into a critical platform for Thai people. But regardless of that, we have been paying it forward because there's no startup left in this country that is like local, authentic Thai that is successful and profitable. Right? I've been in this startup space for 11 years. Nobody made it that far, this far, that is both profitable and not getting acquired by international firms that are fully Thai owned, from the shareholders' perspective, from the top management perspective, from the employees' perspective. Bitkub is the only one that's profitable and fully Thai owned, paying taxes fully in this country. Right? So we set up Bitkub Ventures to invest in other Thai startups, and we don't have any other LPs. We use our own profit to invest in other Thai startups to help grow the Thai startup ecosystem. We also have corporate affairs team to sponsor different student events. Everyone emailed us for funding, and we have budgets to help support as much as we can on different aspects of the Thai economy. During COVID, we donated a lot to hospitals on medical devices that were lacking back then. We hosted Man United Liverpool game to inspire people to come out again post-COVID, to stimulate the economy, to stimulate the tourism space in Thailand. We supported Thai football team when they had no money post-COVID, during COVID, for 2 years. Thai Premier League football, when they were in big financial troubles. We supported Miss Universe Thailand. We supported various projects. More than we should have actually. We spent a lot of money on helping different industries.
You've also represented Thailand in many ways in the world stage. I think that, this is my personal take, but I see that it's been such a challenge for you to be here. You could have made the decision to go elsewhere, but it seems that you enjoy you are proud to be Thai, and you enjoy to have a Thai company. Is that correct?
Yes, and I think we paid more taxes than all of the digital companies in Thailand combined, like all the Facebook of the world, Line, Instagram, all these apps that Thai people are using combined. Bitkub is paying more tax.
Okay, so Bitkub holds 95% of the market share in Thailand. That's what you said in an interview recently. What's the difference between that and other monopolies like CP?
We're now down to 90, but we're a monopoly almost monopoly based on business nature. It's a network effect game. It's the economy of scale game. It's like Facebook, right? You can't have High Five or MySpace coexisting simply not because of regulation or anything, but it's because of the user experience. You can only have one platform. There used to be Uber, Gojek, Grab fighting in Thailand, but there's only one left, Grab. It's a winner takes all business model versus traditional oligarchs. That's a different type of monopoly.
But do you encourage or invite competition into your space as someone who has 90% of the market share?
Of course. I mean, competition would bring out innovation for the people, for Thailand, right? In fact, to be honest, someone can take Bitkub from me. I'm happily willing to pass on the torch, right? So that the infrastructure is stronger, bigger, becoming more critical for the Thai digital economy to take place. Right? Otherwise, we are relying on ancient, traditional way of making money. We are stuck in higher middle income trap for 20 years now. Digital economy cannot emerge without critical infrastructure of the future.
Are NFTs still a thing?
I think they're coming back, gradually coming back, but this time with real utility linked to the real world activities now.
How?
So for example, like ticketing, we can use NFTs for secondary sales without having them to go on a gray market. We can increase the face value. Fungibility is when you have 21 identical unit of Bitcoin, right? That's when you are able to digitize fungible real-world resources with the blockchain technology. But NFTs is for non-fungible items. For example, if you have a piece of art, right, and there's only one non-fungible piece in the world, you can't really use the same technologies as Bitcoin. You can't create 21 pieces of that. You should really have 1-to-1, right? You use NFT for that non-fungible tokenization aspect. So that's a different use cases to digitizing fungible products. So there will be real use cases of NFTs in the future.
But what about as they were before, art and etc.? Do you think that is still something that people should buy, or that they should try to list their art as NFTs? Is it worth it? Because it costs you have to complete a transaction to list an NFT.
I think it's in the early stage of the game where people are experimenting, and there's no price discovery on NFTs yet, right? There's no long-term equilibrium price, just like crypto, just like fungible tokens in the early days. Non-fungible tokens will emerge as well, and there'll be real use cases. For fungible tokens, now people are talking about tokenizing real-world assets, just like real estate, tokenization of carbon credit, tokenization of electricity unit, all these fungible units, right? In the future, there'll be non-fungible use cases that we need to tokenize as well. And we can't really tokenize them with fungible tokens. Right? We need to tokenize them with non-fungible tokens.
There's so many words that people use that I don't know the meaning of, but that are widely adopted to various languages. So I want to ask you about some of them. What is the meaning of Bitcoin?
So it has no real utility. Right? It's just pumps and dumps. There's no long-term value.
Okay. How can people tell the difference between a coin and a real coin?
The main difference is that a real coin would have real adoption, real utility, real mining power behind it. For example, Bitcoin. It is so decentralized. There are a lot of investment behind running the Bitcoin operations, and the miners aspect. The decentralized mining power behind this, the real adoption, real acceptance, the network effect is large enough for it to have real utility of it. Whereas Shitcoin, there's no, it could be centralized, it could be run by one person. There's just, create something quickly, like viral, quick, come and go very quickly, pumps and dumps. There's no real network effect or
So speaking of that, there have been some examples of that like people thought were useless, but then became very valuable and then weren't and then were. So are meme coins like Doge a scam or a potential opportunity?
The interesting part about this crypto is that it's a free market mechanism. Nobody has the right to say this is a shit coin, this is the real coin. It depends on users' adoption, right? And it's an open system where there'll be a natural selection happening in the long run. Right? The winners with enough equilibrium, whoever reaches this equilibrium for the network effect and the economy of scale will become the real coin. Those, that losses the network effect and the economy of scale, the volume would become a shit coin.
How do you feel about the word crypto bro?
So crypto is the biggest and the fastest growing cult in the world, right? And back then we can't really talk about crypto to anyone closer to us because nobody would believe in the same thing as us. So we create an online network state, like the largest digital community. I guess that word must have emerged from that.
Would you be offended if someone referred to you as a crypto bro?
No, I would not. Actually, I'm the crypto guy.
You're the crypto bro?
That's what I introduce people to myself to. I'm a crypto guy. Right?
What are some current productivity tools that you like, use, and trust?
Slack is the main communication tools we use in the company. We cannot live without. It's the backbone of everything that we integrate all our third-party apps to. And on the personal side, I use Signal. I think that's the best. And for privacy, for confidential.
What about software ecosystem, for example, iOS or Android? Do you have a preference?
Oh, we ask everyone to use iOS because they're safer. Right? We're in the money business. In terms of malwares or viruses, iOS is much safer.
And lastly, what's next for you? What's your future look like? What are you working on now that is very important to you?
You may be surprised, but health. I'm into longevity more and more. I think this is the second fastest growing cult to expand like health span and lifespan for humanity. Now, in this moment in time, we have a technology. We're at the point that we can live up to 100 years, 120 years now. And as much as the financial system is broken, the healthcare and the food system is even more broken.
Do you think that in your lifetime you will see an expansion of the expectancy of life?
Oh, definitely. Right. People will live like 100, 120 years. 50s is like the new 30.
Do you want to live 120 years?
Of course, we're living in an exciting world. I want to see what's the future emerge to be. With the arrival of AI, I want to live and see what's happening to the world.
Okay, cool. Well, that is my interview. Thank you so much for your time. This was a real pleasure.
Oh, thank you.